So a lot of people would get a little scared when you see or experience these tremoring, but it actually jump starts the healing of the body.
Well, the tremoring response is simply neutral to the body. The body simply does it by itself. It's not a technique or some sort of style or method or something that was, in a sense, made up. The body simply does it organically. But when the person is unfamiliar with what that tremoring means, mostly because in our society we've interpreted tremoring in the body as being unsafe or fearful or vulnerable, and in this way we're trying to lead the client to a reinterpretation, to saying that this tremoring doesn't mean you're vulnerable or you lack safety or that you're weak. It actually means the body's beginning to restore a sense of appropriate safety and comfort, so that it's coming out of its trauma reaction. And the minute you can help the client make that transition cognitively so that they're no longer afraid, the tremoring response, which 5 minutes ago was seemed to be evoking fear, 5 minutes later, after you help the client understand it, the tremoring response is evoking great calm and comfort and relaxation. The tremoring response didn't change. It's the client's concept of the tremoring response that changed. So the tremoring response has always been neutral. It's how the individual understood the tremors that changed, whether they took it up as an anxiety-provoking behavior or as a comfort behavior.
Mhm. So would you say that these exercises also lead the client or the person doing the exercises to be much more empowered or by and having faith in their own body process, or what would you say about that?
Basically, what happens when a person experiences the tremoring response from the exercises, and they understand that this is a response of the muscle tissue initiating its own relaxation, the client then begins to feel excited about this and a little bit empowered, because now they're doing it by themselves. And the most important thing is they're getting a conscious perception from the brain that the body has behavior mechanisms inside itself that are actually designed to bring the body back to a relaxed state. So for someone who's experienced severe stress or trauma, to know that they can do something at home or by themselves in safety to actually continue their own restoration process towards health is always self-empowering. And self-empowerment is what a traumatized client needs, because that's what was taken away in the traumatic event. They were disempowered. And so now we give them a way that we can say, now go home and you can do this, and do this as many times as you want to, so that you can feel more calm and more relaxed. And as they keep doing it and they progress towards calmness and deeper relaxation, it's extremely self-empowering. So it restores in their body a sense of being self-empowered, as well as in the mind, of understanding they can do something now to help themselves heal, and they're not simply at the mercy of needing to be guided through a healing process always by someone else.
Hmm. Do you think that there would be anything that we need to be cautious about these exercises?
The biggest cautions for the exercises would be the same as any other exercise routine in general. Essentially, do they have physical limitations that would restrict them from doing the exercises safely? Are they on medications? Because anybody on medications for any exercise routine, even something as simple as yoga or qigong or even karate or tai chi, whatever the exercise routine, if you're on medications, you should see a medical physician or consult your psychiatrist or whomever is prescribing these medications. Let them know that you're thinking of doing an exercise routine and ask their opinion and their guidance so that they can follow you in case there's a problem with it. The other one would be for people who are still very fragile because of their stressful or traumatic experiences. And so when people are very fragile like that, even being in a crowd of people doing an exercise could make them feel very vulnerable. So you want to help them go through their fragility and have a stronger sense of themselves, and then they can do the exercises quite safely. Now, the way to help them through that fragility is that they might need to go to a therapist who guides them through the experiences of the exercises for the first 3 or 4 or 5 times until they can see, oh, now this individual's familiar with it, they understand that it's safe, they're not frightening themselves about it, they're not flooding themselves over this with anxiety, they're not dissociating because now they understand what's going on, and they're not going into a freeze response because it's no longer frightening for them. So those would be the major issues, that if a person is too fragile, no matter what type of therapeutic intervention you use, they're probably going to have a flooding or freezing or a dissociative response until they become stronger. We all know that as therapists. Once we help them get stronger, then they stop having those behavior patterns because they don't feel frightened anymore. So it's no different in doing an exercise routine, and the same with trauma releasing exercises. Some people can do them immediately because they don't feel frightened or threatened, and they don't have any sort of defensive reaction to the exercises. And other people are just vulnerable and fragile still, and those are the ones that you want to be more careful with when you're teaching them an exercise routine.
Mm-hmm. So these exercises really work in many different levels, in the neurological level, the emotional level. What about the relational level? Do you see them work there as well?
When we're talking about people who are under severe stress or have had traumatic experiences in life, initially the relationship that has first been shattered is their own relationship with themselves. That's what becomes very damaging and traumatizing, is they no longer know how they relate within themselves. They no longer feel safe within themselves. They no longer feel like they can even protect themselves because that's been taken away or fractured by the traumatic event. Someone has taken away their inner sense of self-possession. So when you do exercises, exercises are designed to help you feel the body. That's precisely what they're for. When you begin to feel your body, particularly those areas that might be numb, or there might be some sort of frozen quality to the body itself because of the traumatic event, when that starts to thaw out, or the person starts to feel themselves, and they'll often say, I feel myself more deeply, or I feel more secure, or I feel more grounded, then the person can reestablish relationships with others. Once a traumatic event happens, and if I feel insecure or unsafe with me, and I've lost my relationship with myself, I'm obviously going to lose my relationship with other people, even people that are very close to me, because I don't know how to relate any longer, or I'm actually afraid of relationship, even if it was a secure relationship. And so helping people get into their bodies always helps them establish a deeper relationship with themselves, which absolutely immediately begins to extend itself into deeper and healthier relationships with other people.
Mm-hmm.